Every once in a while, Chinese society, much like the West, gives birth to a generational wildcard that people cannot make their minds up on. Like, do we hate them or do we really just try see past the bullshit and say they've lived life? Kinda. So allow me to extend the discussion cross-continental to the party that I've gathered here today about what you think about Wanwan. God, let me tell you about Wanwan. Some say she's nothing more than a fake, a poor but wealthy woman. We all know there's no such thing, poor and wealthy. What's next? She's tall and short. He's my father and son. So some people doubt her legacy. But then there are some call her the artistic goddess, using men to get to where she wants to go. Well, how good is she at using them, you may ask? Listen to this. Some say Wanwan is like a famous painting. Its value has increased many times because it was collected by a famous person. That's the most elegant way I've seen people describe gold digging. Well, ain't saying she a gold digger, but she ain't messing with no broke. So how can I possibly deny you the pleasure of this story? Born in 1987 in Hong Kong, Wanwan did not come from a rich family at all. Both her parents worked a lot, so Wanwan actually spent majority of her early days with her grandma on her mom's side, and grandma was a real artsy woman, a history teacher and a poet. Okay, so Wanwan, age 7. Other kids at the preschool on Capri Suns and Powerpuff Girls, she on Picasso. No, I'm serious. This is her at an interview mentioning that her grandma once gave her a book called Mother Wendy's Story of Painting as a Child. This was her favorite book before her age went to the double digits. So heavily influenced by her grandma, she began to harbor this art dream of her own, and eventually, at the age of 17, she graduated with grades good enough to secure a position into the Central Academy of Fine Arts in mainland China. It's the best one. And as soon as she gets in, she locks into main character storyline. Well, actually, first year of college, she up to no good. This is an era that Wanwan would later refer to as an era of unflattering photos, doing anything but studying. But I think that's a real human being right there. That's a real human experience. But around second year of her undergraduate in her arts degree, she comes around. She decides to lock in. Wanwan then starts networking and eventually meets a famous Chinese fine artist called Liu Ye, who was 23 years older than her at the time. And the two quickly fell into a relationship. It was her first relationship. So Liu Ye is an artist, right? Calls her his inspirational goddess and his muse. But such a fine nickname such as inspirational goddess has to be returned in favor. So Wanwan starts giving him cutie patootie nicknames like Old Rabbit and Rabbit Lord. Now, see, I don't know what they're into, but it sounds cute and freaky. See, Wanwan, on one hand, often showed up in Liu Ye's art, allowing him to propel his career further as he created multiple masterpieces with her as his muse. But at the same time, Liu Ye repaid her by taking her on these high-class art events. So soon enough, her own social standing in the Beijing art circle also began to rise. They had a pretty good, mutually benefiting arrangement. But you see, unfortunately, you can't keep up that infinite XP glitch for too long until the admin finds out. Mrs. Liu. That's Liu Ye's wife. She found out. What ended up happening was Mrs. Liu actually went to confront Wanwan with a whip in the art gallery. And this dude, inspired by the moment, drew the whole confrontation. The title of the art is Who's Afraid of Mrs. Liu? And that painting went on to then get sold at an auction for 4.2 million RMB. Now, ladies and gentlemen, is he a despicable man? Absolutely. Rotten piece of shit. Oh, but how I wish I had 4.2 million RMB. Because you have to agree, right? This is one hell of a backstory on a piece of art. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want it. The incident was so traumatizing, though, it did give Wanwan a quarter-life crisis, because on October 2008, Wanwan then made a post titled, When Models Get Old. And then she goes, what should we do? What will they do? Oh, it's terrifying to think about. How many people can stay popular like Kate Moss for so long? Wanwan then reaches the conclusion that she cannot stay in China anymore, because think about it, from her perspective, it's like, wow, they really just had my beaten ass painted, signed, framed, and sold at an auction. Gotta leave the country after that, right? So comes 2009, Liu Ye then writes a letter and sponsors her to go to Columbia University for her master's in arts management, officially beginning Wanwan's international student arc. Well, you know what they say about long-distance relationships. Maybe it's better that way for the four of you. No, because, right, the first thing Wanwan did as soon as she got there was mentally check out of the relationship back home. Wasted no time moving on. I mean, to her defense though, it is the New York City fashion circle, so in comparison to what she was having back home, you know. No, there was even a leaked email suggesting that she had a few romantic run-ins with a film director called Vincent Gallo, so sis has been busy. But it was also in this particular circle that Wanwan met her new boyfriend, Wang Bo, as well, a hot, artistic and top student from Tsinghua University, and they quickly began making core memories together. Then, it is through Wang Bo she also made friends with the supermodel Liu Wen, literally China's first, and Xi Mengyao, which is another supermodel. That is one crack networking friend group. And this squad then forms the backbone of her Columbia-era social group, getting her a lot of industry connections for later on in life. But eventually, Liu Ye, back home, did find out about her relationship with Wang Bo and cancelled her sponsorship money. Now, I want to let you know that there have been a few theories on the Chinese internet on how Liu Ye found out. I've narrowed it down to one. It is debunked already, but it is my favorite one, so you're hearing it as if it is factual evidence, even though it is literally misinformation. So Wanwan had a bestie at the Arts Academy, and one day, bestie found out that she's been going out with Wang Bo, and she gets a little jealous. She apparently already dislikes Wanwan because they had a fallout over who started drawing straight eyebrows first, so in a fiery rage, she snitches on Wanwan. Which, can you even imagine how that even happened? She and a friend in downtown New York City bar somewhere. Besties 2.5 Long Islands deep with her friend, just like, I work all day trying to get this Wang Bo, and this bitch comes in, steals my man and my eyebrows. She thinks she's prettier than me? Yeah, that does suck. Wait, what are you doing? I'm gonna call her sugar daddy. No, don't do that, don't do that. So by this point in time, Wanwan is also directing these small exhibitions called Wanwan Late Projects. So in a way, she's closer to her childhood art dream than she ever was. But even with all that in motion, Wanwan was still unhappy because as the years go by, so does her standards. It begins to change. It begins to go up. So now her boyfriend is looking kinda lame because Wang Bo is really just a niche artist with unstable income compared to Wanwan now, who's got like 1 million followers on this social media app called Douban by this point. If you're wondering how she got there, it's because she's been sharing her life constantly and people really liked it, so they're calling her the Douban goddess because of it. That's the short explanation. So obviously, for the Douban goddess, Wang Bo was more like an undergraduate boyfriend. Wanwan's now in her postgraduate era. That's a whole different character now. So she then makes the decision to break up with Wang Bo because even with all the opportunities he had given her, he couldn't ultimately give her the life she wanted. Just like how some email providers couldn't give me the service I wanted. Hey, but luckily I found Proton Mail. No, see, because I hate vulnerability. Proton's based in Switzerland, meaning all user data is protected by strict privacy laws. Proton Mail doesn't even know what you're sending with Proton Mail. Proton exists to help many businesses prevent data breaches, so I believe it's well equipped to help me. Why? Because first of all, it gives me a peace of mind. You know how sometimes you want to buy something and you have to make an account? Well, you do it with Proton Mail. It hides your email aliases when you sign up to prevent spams. And it also cleans your inbox for you automatically when the emails come in. If they somehow then get past that, it cleans tracking links automatically too, so your activities can't be used against you for commercial purposes by tech companies. It is available on mobile, desktop, and web, so you can have the multiple devices set up running, which means it's got 2FA, it's got KeePass support, it's got your back. I also hate venture capitals. Proton's not owned by venture capitals because the Proton Foundation is a non-for-profit organization and they raised over $500,000 from 10,000 individuals to make it all happen. It is crowdfunded so you can get an alternative from the big tech providers. So if that's what you're looking for, a safe, private and secure email provider, then with my link today, you can try for free today and see the difference it really makes. Knock knock. Who's there? Wanwan. Wanwan who? Wanwan, who's now in her prime, is back in China, single, ready to mingle. Because around the same time, another name was starting to pop up in the art world. Because in 2013, this Nepo baby called Lin Han allegedly picked up nearly 200 works from over 70 international artists in about 1 year. That's gotta be a speedrun in the art collector field, right? So with that kind of a fast rising collector reputation, let's be real, Wanwan and Lin Han was always going to end up in the same room. It wasn't a question of if, it's when they meet. And sure enough, around April 2014, through mutual friends, Wanwan met Lin Han at an art event. And bro left the worst impression. Dude, you gotta listen to this, right? So the interviewer asks, do you remember, right? Ask Wanwan, do you remember what he was dressed like back then? And she goes and tells her, I can't bear to look back. Because firstly, his hair, which was like upright, I found the picture, she wasn't capping. So you can imagine this dude walks up to you at the function, blue hair. And then he had this skirt on, Givenchy skirt. I don't know which one he had, so you're gonna have to use your imagination. And everybody was surrounding him, which to a fashion motherfucker That's like a standing ovation for the fit. So he's walking around with the I'm the GOAT energy, the whole function, and she's like rolling her eyes. And apparently before he left the function, he stepped on her foot. That's it. So her first impression was that this dude is a buffoon. But then second time they meet, it was at another function. And this time, Wanwan lost her voice to something.
I lost my voice.
So she was all speaking all croaky. She was probably going around trying to talk and speaking in that croaky voice. So he hears her with that voice. He was like, yo, waiter, get this girl a hot lemon water. And she was like, ooh, I kind of like that. Guess he's not so bad. Third time they meet though. Lin Han takes her to a ruined construction. At night, just two of them alone. They climb onto this rooftop of the construction ruin and he looks her in the eyes and goes, you're gonna marry me because I'm gonna build you an art gallery right here. Well, pardon me for doubting this man's game.
那一刻开始吧，我觉得这个女孩是一个特别对于我是不一样的人。
So the two got engaged very quickly, and Wanwan flexed that ring about 20 times, and they got married in Switzerland. But you know, I'm not kidding when I say these two are a perfect match, because the devious activities they later get up to is a whole other level. So in other words, I'm setting the stage to say that if you are a fan of the couple so far, then brace yourself, because it is all downhill from here. So shortly after the Socialite marriage, the couple established M. Woods Art Gallery, M. Woods. It is the youngest art museum in China, located in Beijing, featuring artwork from artists all around the world, although a lot of it did come from all the networking she did since the Columbia University era, so it did pay off in the long run. So she finally did it. Wanwan now has her own art gallery, right? But then again, whatever ego that you think she had, dude, whole other level now. Because think about it, this was her childhood dream now fulfilled. So she does this thing, and I'm going to say this word once, or only once. She began to go on what I can only call a mogging arc. Okay, I'll tell you why. Context. Because there is a saying in China, there's a gap between internet celebrities and real celebrities. Who wins and who loses aura-wise can be seen if they just take a photo together. It's like an Instagram drive-by, and it sends a message to all the people following that influencer. Like, yeah, your little influencer is not yet in our league. Easy pickings. Wanwan starts doing it back. Starts doing it to celebrities. Never lost. Always in the best angle. Because hey, when all your best friends are supermodels back in uni, you try and take a group photo? No, you learn to survive. This is her with Karina Lau. Nope. Netizens objectively said Karina Lau lost. I'm not joking. Okay, what about Shu Qi? Nope. Netizens were like, Wanwan slayed on this one. If you are curious, she did this so much, there's a Wanwan victims list where it dissects how she'd be standing, making herself look skinnier, like angles, and she's like posting them on Douban. She even did it with NBA players this one time where her legs are looking like the same length. And people were like, this power is crazy. But then one day, unfortunately, Fan Bingbing does a photo shoot at M. Woods. See, that's probably a dilemma, right? Because by this point, her reputation's out there, so she's got to do it again. But that's Fan Bingbing she's trying to do it to. So you better know your angles down to the millimeter, or else you're getting outserved. So what does Wanwan do? Well, she puts on full makeup, snaps a photo of Fan Bingbing before her makeup was done, at bad posture while she wasn't even ready, and she photoshops Fan Bingbing's face wider whilst photoshopping herself prettier, and posts the photo. That's got to be all the tricks in the book. She physically and figuratively caught Bingbing lacking the full makeup and made it look like this A-lister was dragged out of her seat for a fan photo. So obviously the internet didn't buy it this time, so they start roasting Wanwan instead. Alright, we know what you're trying to do over here, but please don't try it with the GOAT. So Wanwan gets attacked by hordes and hordes of Fan Bingbing fans, and half the internet. Wanwan gets KO'd, ending her run with the celebrities. But I did promise you, it was gonna get worse. I hate to do it, but if the Bingbing incident didn't turn you against Wanwan, this genuinely might. On March 9th, 2021, a worker fell to his death whilst performing insulation work in the equipment room on the roof of the M. Woods Museum, leading to the museum's closure to the public on March 15th. Now, just a few months before this incident, M. Woods was already under fire for a plagiarism incident where they took a non-for-profit organization's work and used it for commercial purposes. Right, so they literally stole a free sample and sold it, but which didn't exactly tick the people the right way. Rub the people the right way. Then people were pissed, so the people's anger hasn't exactly settled just yet. But then to add fuel to the fire, with the worker death incident, Wanwan began to delete comments and was caught blocking people who were speaking out warning the netizens about the mismanagement of M Woods for letting this hazard occur. So already, not the best look. But the final straw was that in an interview conducted on what she thinks about the incident, her response to the interviewer was unfortunately what seemed like to be a mix of annoyance and inconvenience for the incident, causing her to lose a partnership with Audi.
他们肯定是有一个他们的道德制高点的，然后去集结，他们4点钟上去品牌的微博，把整个微博攻陷了，然后这个合作就没了。
就相当于撤了一个赞助商。
对，大几百万吧。
Costing her about a couple million RMB, which sparks public outrage because it's like, well, okay, you're rich and so is your husband. You lost a couple million RMB, okay, so what? There's a child out there who just lost their father, so the least you can do is show remorse. So netizens banded together and launched a boycott campaign to try ruin their brand image. And as you can see, right, that's why M Woods have such a low rating despite the fact that it's actually quite a decent experience. So obviously by this point, with the absolute tomfoolery the couple gets up to on a regular basis, comes late 2021, trouble strikes again, turning what netizens will later refer to as the Rolls-Royce incident. Not the public, not the Rolls-Royce fans, but actual Rolls-Royce owners were threatening to boycott the brand in China due to Rolls-Royce publishing a Cullinan ad, which is their SUV, right, featuring Wanwan and her husband, Lin Han. And the people did not like that. The Rolls-Royce community was upset, quickly becoming a nationwide hot topic on Weibo, because people are curious, like what kind of shits and giggles are the rich people getting up to again? And of course, the reason behind the outrage isn't complicated by this point. Most of high society China was genuinely fed up with the couple, right? Firstly, because of the way they handled the death incident, terrible. But secondly, what made it worse is that Wanwan had actually previously been recognized in 2016 and 2017 as one of, I guess, Asia-Pacific art world's most internationally visible youth figures, even positioned as a youth role model. So people were like, well, as one of the most popular representatives of the fine arts community, y'all sure have done some damage. So as a result, literally anybody with a net worth above 7 figures started to roast these couples directly under the Rolls-Royce comment section. Look at this one. What the hell? I'm a Rolls-Royce owner and this has instantly lowered the prestige of my Cullinan BB edition. If you don't believe me, please send me private messages on my official Weibo WhatsApp account and I'll show you my purchase history. Of course, bro also attached a limited edition Richard Mille watch for the extra firepower. Good heavens, don't Rolls-Royces do background checks? These two are notorious for not wearing seatbelts. An art museum worker fell to his death due to safety issues. I am seriously questioning the safety of your cars. My cousin was originally going to buy one from you, but now it seems he'll be getting a Maybach instead. But then, Mr. Lin, as a fellow Nepo baby, he ain't gonna let them clown him like that. So he started going band for band in the comment section, firstly dropping a registration of his Rolls-Royce Phantom, whilst at the same time claiming that when he gets back to Beijing, he'll send 3 more. But the roasting didn't stop, because what kind of a brand ambassador goes band for band in the comment section with the product they're trying to represent? The commotion then reached a boiling point, looking like every Rolls-Royce owner in China is trying to get their lick in, with even Wang Sicong, the Prince of Wonder Group and the richest professional son, right, literally, coming in to call out Rolls-Royce for their questionable choice of brand representatives. The group leader has spoke. That's the Nepo leader group baby. I'm not having a good run today. He's spoken. So then, folding under public pressure, Rolls-Royce China then makes a public statement deleting the advertisement and effectively ending the partnership for good, resulting in the last straw on the camel's back to break the couple's reputation completely into shambles. And ever since then, Wanwan and Lin Han's reputation in China has just not been the same. Even as of today, Wanwan and Lin Han is still active on Instagram, but obviously their reputation has not recovered, so comments aren't allowed. But they do occasionally stream on Douyin, which is surreal considering in comparison, Mingxi, the model friend back in her New York City days, just got given a 4.6 billion luxury cruise ship. That's gotta suck. But I think at the end of the day, she has a much better love story than the average influencer. I mean, at least when the whole world is against them, they still have each other, right? Is that not what love is all about? There is also a dedicated area of study to Wanwan called Wanology on the Chinese internet, which is a satirical dissection of her life as if she herself was a piece of art. Seeing that now you have made it through to the end, literally start to finish, it is with great pleasure that I now announce you all have graduated with a PhD in Winology. My tuition fee is nothing more than a mere subscription, so please, that's all I ask. Class dismissed.